Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to a new edition of Escapist Corner.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks.
Is that me?
Or what I'm supposed to say. Nice to see you again.
Where's your hat?
I ditched the hat today, just to be able to document my Corona status or Corona hairdo status.
Oh, okay.
The lockdown look.
Okay.
I'm very curious about our viewers and listeners' lockdown looks at the moment.
Because the hair salons are closed. Yeah.
How is it for you? How do you manage?
I was a blonde up until about, I don't know, like a week ago. And I forced myself to buy a box of color.
You did it yourself.
I did it myself.
Okay.
And yeah, you know, I like to indulge in the hair salon experience. But since that's not a possibility right now, I took it upon myself and did my own color. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Thank you.
Maybe I should also. I might go blonde. So there's actually some truth to that. So back when I was 13, me and my dear friend Freddie, we had a performance with our band. We just had a new band. I don't think we had a name for it, but we had some kind of school act going, and we decided to dye our hair.
Okay.
And we bought one blonde package and one black.
Oh God.
And then we went home to him like during lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
And we just flipped the coin who was doing what.
Yeah.
I got the black one and he got the blonde one. So he had to go through all the pain that a blonde person does. he got the nickname Woman.
Just woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous when I think about it. Yeah. But yeah, no. It's I could have been blonde, that could have happened. And I think he also wanted me to actually do that or try that out, but never happened.
But you got the black.
I got the black. So
and how did that work out for you?
Well, it was okay. I think I had to dye my hair black until I was, 19.
Okay.
To keep it up. But no, of course, like as everyone who has done those things, and especially if you're male, I think you also, and women probably too, go through a lot of like observation from third parties. And but yeah, no, you're a bit different, you do it. And but yeah, I would maybe I should have that as a dare sometime. I know my wife told me she would divorce me if I do something like that, but have to live on the edge.
Yeah.
So no. So what are we talking about today?
We're gonna talk about we are gonna talk about nutrition today, but in a more not just general eat your fruits and vegetables. We are gonna talk about two very specific programs that both you and I are doing right now. I'm doing a very different program than you. So we'll both, talk about our experiences, what we're doing. And, I will again pepper Ricard with questions and get, useful information out of him. And, but I guess I'll start. For the last, I think it's about 5 weeks now. I've been doing a program that was designed by one of our coaches here, Mark. And it is more of a fat loss program, nutrition and exercise program. And yeah, so what it is pretty much, a restricted calorie deficit diet. I'm tracking every single thing that I eat. Kind of I split it, half the week is at the moment half the week is 1,750 calories. The rest of the week during the cardio days it's 1,400 calories. I have the same percentage split, so I'm doing 35% carbs and protein and 30% fat. And so far it's great. Yeah.
So maybe or interesting to know is, why are you doing it?
Well, I initially decided to do it because Mark finished the precision nutrition certification course, the same one that I did earlier on in the year. And he wanted to kind of work on some like higher level, not so just kind of health and healthy lifestyle practice with kind of normal people or regular people. And so I kind of asked him if, I could be his guinea pig. I had some goals. I had been struggling with some fat loss, and we decided to kind of collaborate in a sense, and I would be his guinea pig.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I think, like, from listening to you and your experience now with this, this is my microphone or your microphone? That is, oh, it's yours. Um, is that it really, like, you need to be very diligent, like you are, and also looking into, like, is this for everyone? It's a question I've been asking myself. What do you think?
No, it's 100% not for everybody because
Yeah, it's sensitive.
because it requires precision, and it requires you to.
Let's shift.
Okay. All right. It requires you to pre-plan everything, to measure precisely. I have 3 different working scales at home, and it's difficult on your social life. And I mean, right now it's the most perfect time to do it because there are no restaurants open, so it's great. But it really, you can't cheat.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you can, but then you won't see the results. Yeah, it takes definitely a tremendous amount of discipline and self-awareness.
I think what I'm thinking of is like the planning and to really be that orderly, I would say.
Yeah.
Because you, of course, like, you need to really be, as I said, diligent. And if you have, if you're that kind of person that has a hard time planning stuff, this is just going to be super hard. And so something that is interesting that I'm thinking of is like, well, what kind of personality trait does this, work with the most, and so on. So that can be something to dive into deeper when it comes to, nutrition coaching and kind of the type of person that we are coaching. One other question that comes up in my head is, because you mentioned, like, you also done the precision nutrition certification, but because this is something I think some people might get wrong, but it's like, why? But you're already, a nutrition expert. Why are you having a coach, right?
I think, they always say, like coaches need coaches. And because you need to be able to experience firsthand what you're going to be potentially doing with your clients.
Mm.
So the best way to teach is to do. And so I'm finding that I'm journaling a lot and just kind of logging everything down, all of the kind of the experiences that I have throughout this program, because I want to be able to explain it to the client
Mm.
when they go through something like this.
Mm.
For example, changes in your skin.
Mm.
Some days being very fatigued, some days the next day feeling like you've just been like shot out of a cannon. You have tons of energy. And also, when it comes to, preparing food, I want to be able to offer the best advice. I want to be able to give the best tips. I want to be able to really give them their money's worth,
Yeah.
of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what their goal is.
And so you've done this for 5 weeks now. What
Mhm.
what kind of results have you been seeing now?
Yeah. So I've seen a pretty big weight loss. It's about through 3.5 kilos or
Yeah.
so. And yeah, my body fat percentage has gone down. I feel really good.
Mm.
And there's been some really great things. Like I've gotten new running PRs, and I've noticed, when I'm working out, my gymnastic skills are improving.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel lighter. I don't feel so lethargic during the day.
Mm.
And just the feeling of like eating. I don't think in my life I've ever eaten so balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. And so 3.5 kilos, and if we convert that into calories, then
Mhm.
we're at over 30,000 calories,
Mhm.
and we say deficit
Mhm.
in these 5 weeks.
Mhm.
That means you shouldn't be eating at all for we say what's your basic requirement in calories,
Yeah.
like 2,000 something, or
Right now,
yeah, well, not right now, but what's your like basic consumption according to like the in body?
I think it's about. I think it said today it was like something. It was quite low. It was like 1,500 calories.
Yeah, but that's for the resting, like
Okay.
when you're
I don't know. I'd have to
when
check
you're in a
that.
coma.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just estimating, but it's something
Yeah.
about 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, to accumulate, or and this is kind of the my point is that many people confuse a calorie deficit
Mhm.
with like, okay, I just need to cut those calories,
Mhm.
and then I'm gonna just lose that weight. Now you will lose weight when you cut calories, but you've been um, you know burning
Mhm.
calories also via the in the way you're eating too.
Mhm.
So it's kind of has a positive effect on how
Mhm.
the fat is burning or
Yeah.
used as fuel and stuff like that. So that also, of course, having your timing windows and everything is super
Mhm.
important. And I mean sleep too, right? So
Mhm.
how's your sleep been last weeks?
My sleep is good. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a young one, but at home. So, sometimes I get woken up, but
Mm.
generally I sleep well.
Yeah.
Um,
But you're pretty diligent with that too. Like
yeah,
you have you go to bed like early-ish.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes 8:30,
Yeah. Yeah.
between 8 and 8:30 sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, some days I get like 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So, and to kind of go back to what we were talking about like the kind of person that would be able to do a program like this, it does take discipline, and focus, but it also takes a lot of just organization
Yeah.
and being able to even like, I've kind of started to like plan my day around eating,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to hit all the macros by
Mm.
the end of the day, by dinner time. And I want to be able to eat smartly with what I have
Mm.
to do in the day.
Yeah.
So that also kind of goes around the training schedule and all of that. So or even if I know I'm coaching later on in the day, I need to have something, but I like to have 3 meals a day with a coffee in between.
Mm.
So
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like this is very close to like a bodybuilder's program
mhm,
in one sense. And what I'm curious about is like I obviously want you to be as successful as possible. I'm curious about okay, your experience, how it works, but also your long-term success.
mhm,
Like how is this gonna
mhm.
prep you for the next decade or two? And yeah, what do you think? Do you have any expectations of that?
I think at the moment it's getting easier. At the very beginning of it, the first couple of weeks, it was a challenge.
Hmm.
I think I feel that, I'm lucky in the regard that I don't need to eat, many different types of food. I'm pretty good with
Mm.
being, pretty restricted to, a handful of things that I like. Um and I would like to, start to practice maybe in a few weeks when it comes to, kind of the tail end of it, practice doing it a little bit more intuitively rather than, have to put it on the scale, just to kind of almost test myself, see how much I've learned because I am eating so balanced right now. I think that this way of eating could carry out after the program is done, but more intuitively, not so, calorie to calorie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen when all the pizza places are opening up again?
I don't like pizza anyways. I'm not a pizza or pasta person. I like
Okay.
I like chocolate.
All right.
Give me a Ritter Sport. Like, that's going to be gone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's better. No, but I guess the general question is,
Mhm.
what would you do when the restaurants are back open?
Yeah.
Is that a problem or no?
No, because I'm a chicken and salad kind of girl,
Okay.
with and I'm a pain in the ass. I
Yeah.
asked for the dressing on the side and
Yeah. That kind of. Mm.
that kind of patron. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be cool to see how it goes, and again, like the long term effect of it, of course,
Hmm.
is always interesting, and also short term of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
where is your? Do you have like a specific end goal, or do you think it's just gonna, you're gonna find a spot where you're like, this is a game, and
At first I had a very specific goal, and I still do have that specific goal, but I think now that I'm really into it,
Mhm.
I think I'll know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
I think I have like the foresight for that, and kind of the, I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to deplete myself.
Mm.
So if it comes to a point where I don't feel good for days at a time,
Yeah.
then I'll have to kind of taper off or kind of redirect it, or yeah.
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 No, I think that's one thing with nutrition is always, we talked a bit about personality types and stuff like that, but obviously super important is to know, with eating disorders and stuff like that, there are, this kind of approach is probably not so good for somebody who has problems with the relationships to food and so on.
Yeah.
Now, those situations where you have that kind of relationship to food problem, I would say, and it can go both ways, that you constantly eat too much, and or that you are constantly, having a history of whatever eating disorder, and then it's uh, the problem is not the food.
Right.
So you need to start to work on the relationship rather to who you are, and stuff like that. So I think that's something that most listeners and viewers should know is like, just because you see someone like on whatever social media, or you see any one of us doing something, it doesn't mean that it absolutely is the way that you have to do it.
Right.
So I think you need to find that, individual spot. But I think for everyone, if you have a deeper issue with food, that you're always constantly, having a problem with chocolate, or with alcohol is a big one, or with your self-image when it comes
Right.
to whatever, then that's definitely a thing you should face and try
Yeah.
to get rid of, because it's relief when you can
Yeah.
be without that drag. So if you want to know kind of the difference, is of course, if you have this problem and you think about somebody else's problem who has, I don't know, for me, for example, somebody who is uh, suffering from drug abuse, and I don't have drug abuse, so I'm, it's not a problem for me. But imagine if I have a problem, and I could feel that way about this problem, just like I do with drug abuse, and then it's a no problem, because
Yeah.
it's simply not even there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I mean, been it's these like behavioral things. So
Yeah, when before we started, Mark had asked me, he's like, well, what about behavioral issues?
mm,
In regards to food or eating habits. And I went through, all of PN's the resources that they give you
mm,
that are amazing, kind of worksheets, I guess you would call them,
mm,
to go through. And I was surprised. I was surprised. I wasn't surprised to see that, I definitely used to have a lot of behavioral issues with
mm,
food,
mm,
and how it has changed. So I was able to go into a pretty, focused program like this, feeling confident, because I knew that I wouldn't, have an issue
mm.
with the restriction and with the, the very kind of tight parameters around it.
Yeah.
So,
No, definitely thinking about back to my own eating habits and so on. They've definitely drastically been changing, and also my mindset around that. So this is also something I commonly talk about, is this changing the trajectory of your future via um you know the grunting is it's not us, it's Ivy. um
it's my stomach.
it's
No.
no, but by doing, like, getting a bit more interested to your nutrition and diet and so on, you start to explore some new things. You learn a bit more, and it changes the trajectory of where you're going to be like in 10, 20, 40 years from now in a very positive way for most people. And so this is kind of the thing I think it's the most important for people to start with. It's just to get this kind of awe effect of understanding. So the analogy would be that when you're illiterate, you're basically in a you're caged in a room with white walls, and you're born here and you don't know shit, kind of. So you don't know there's a world out there. However, as soon as you start to get a glimpse outside this room, and it might be, it might be just a dark forest, but suddenly you start to get more curious of what's in that forest. Now, some people will get, afraid, and they just want to be in their comfort zone in their white room. But the growth and where you're actually going to gain any exploration is outside your room. So you need to go out into the dark, into that forest. And when you do that, that's where you start to actually see new things. So also kind of the thing that happens when you start to get into your nutrition, and without being, doesn't mean that you're sitting and reading about nutrition all day, but it's just, you started. So you there is a forest outside this room,
Right.
at least. And then you go step by step, millimeter per millimeter. And it might take you a decade, might take you two. Some people, study it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a nice way to open up the eyes for more people.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about what you're doing.
Yeah. Let's talk about what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
So I'm from the 1st of January, I'm on the carnivore diet again since, the second time where I'm doing this diligent. I've been doing, a bit of that for the last year, but not like now. Now I'm on my 13th day or 14th day. So it's I've been looking forward to it because when I did it last year, it, felt really good. And then I slowly stopped with it, and then it has been there in the background for sure, and so on. But it's nice to be black and white, all or nothing, but which is not really 100% the case here. But I'm definitely like, enjoying to have this. Just makes somehow it makes my daily routines much easier, because I know I'm not so confused about what I should eat.
Okay.
It just makes everything super easy, and decision making is not an issue when it comes to food. And I think sometimes that becomes like almost like a hurdle, like, oh, what should we be eating? Well, we ate this today, and then or for lunch, and then for dinner yesterday, and then we're going to the restaurant tomorrow. So today we have to eat something else, and it makes it also easier to communicate at home. It's like, if it's not meat, I'm not eating it.
So what does a day of eating look like for you?
So basically, I'm eating. I'm not counting calories. I'm not doing all that stuff. But I'm just eating when I'm hungry, and I eat until I'm full. So that's the strategy. That means sometimes in the morning I'm not hungry, so I don't eat. And sometimes I am hungry, so I eat. And for breakfast, that can be, a bit depending, but sometimes it's, maybe a couple of eggs. Like it can be all from 2 eggs until up to 8 eggs. And it can be, you know, only eggs, or it can be with a steak, or it could be with bacon, or it could be with um, minced meat, or it could be, with chicken. Uh, and yeah, basically that's like the options for breakfast. And
Mm-hmm.
then for lunch, well, uh, it can be steak, it can be sausage, it can be bacon, it could be eggs. Um, and for dinner, it is, you know, yeah, it can be also anything, but like salmon, eggs,
Mm-hmm.
bacon,
Right.
anything. Now, the thing with the carnivore diet, for those who don't know, I mean, it's a uh, animal based diet. So it's, you eat everything that comes from the animal. So you can have dairy products in it and so on. But for the best, let's say, effect on autoimmune problems, it's recommended to mitigate dairy products, but also mitigate things like shrimps
Okay.
and some certain seafoods, because they can be, uh, there are some people that react on those. But usually, like if you look at just pure red meat, meaning it comes from usually cows
Mm-hmm.
or uh, yeah, I don't know,
But you said salmon and or tuna.
yeah, I eat that,
Yeah.
yeah. But like basically you want to eat, uh, yeah, if you want to have like this super super strict protocol, you would like to eat only like cow, mutton, and grazing animals,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Horse, maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but those seems to have, or like wild game, uh, they seem to have like a um, very few people have issues with those.
Mm-hmm.
And the benefit is supposedly that, well, you get everything your body needs when it comes to the essential fats, to the essential vitamins, to the essential proteins. And
Mm-hmm.
proteins is like the big thing, of course, because meat has a lot of proteins, but obviously has a lot of fat too. What it doesn't have is it has no carbohydrates.
Right.
So, or very few. And so I've been basically, 13 days, more or less without any carbohydrates. And yeah, I don't, I wouldn't say I don't feel like a big difference in that sense from
Mm-hmm.
energy. The only thing that I feel is that I don't have like a, afternoon drowse, or
Mm-hmm.
where I feel a bit nappy or so.
Right.
I feel like very pretty energized the entire day, depending on my sleep, of course. But I go on all day, and then, in the evening at some point, I just, I collapse. No, but I I just, I shut my eyes and I can sleep anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what happens. But otherwise, like during the day, I don't have days like, oh, where I have to fight to be awake,
Right.
and I don't feel bloated. I never feel like, oh, you know, I don't feel like I could go for a run. So
Mm-hmm.
I can constantly, even straight after dinner or breakfast. This actually happened on Sunday. So I had breakfast. 10 minutes later, I did a 1 hour, cardio workout,
Mm-hmm.
which is, for most people, is like, well, no, I have to wait for X hours before,
Right.
because everything comes up otherwise, and that doesn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that there are, yeah, I feel good with it. And I will do this for 90 days, I've been saying so.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe I extend it even, because it's just so easy.
So with the carnivore diet, I can imagine that there are a lot of people that like what do you call them, like naysayers or people that,
mm,
have very strong opinions about it.
mm.
Could you kind of debunk some myths or some misconceptions about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some common things are like that were uh, talked about, or that being spread so much is, that meat causes cancer or colon cancer. So that's one common myth, and it's been propagated a lot. However, it's based on a very flawed study.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you want to know more about that, I think I talked about that with Sean Baker in the podcast here, but it's based on epidemiology studies, or one a big one, and it's basically uh, you know associative studies. So whatever, they found some kind of small percentage of likelihood that
Mm-hmm.
somebody who ate meat also got cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a survey study and everything. You don't know if they smoked, you don't know all these stuff. So uh, it's very correlative or associative, and yeah, nothing to really care about. And I
Mm-hmm.
think even there was a study coming out like last year now that with a grand review of all those studies, and it basically said like there's no evidence for meat being bad for human beings,
Right.
which from a um, ancestral way of thinking also doesn't make any sense
Mm-hmm.
for us to be sensitive against meat. um, and Yeah, what else myth? Well, obviously it's the environment. So this has been also a big thing. I mean, I don't know how many movies there are now, like on Netflix and so on. It's very, let's say, the voice is very biased out there for in general mainstream. and and if you look at in the carnivore camp, that's also very biased, of course. But the mainstream media is pounding every day about how meat is bad for nature,
Right.
right? And um, again, those are mostly, and this is kind of what makes me go in, is that they're mostly based on studies done by vegans or
Mm-hmm.
people that do it with really an agenda. So
Mm-hmm.
these movies are done by agenda. It's not like there's no research in these movies. There's a clear agenda with these movies, and they're citing things that are completely false.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like one of the most common ones is that in this movie Cowspiracy on Netflix, they say, yeah, 18% of greenhouse gases are caused by cows,
Okay.
and that claim is just totally false. So if you want to really look into the data, well, it's about 3 to 4% greenhouse gases, and it everything comes with something, but that's also from um, if we look at from the quality of the meat that is produced. It's from factory farming, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not the best way of uh, let's say handle animals, maybe, and it's not the best way to do it for nature.
Mm-hmm.
So what most carnivores and so on are looking at is having buying grass-fed
Mm-hmm.
beef and so on, because it actually seems to be rather good for the nature, because the grazing animals being outdoors, they can use land that we can't use for agriculture, and that way we can use land that otherwise wouldn't be used. And you know it's as I said, like meat is so high quality when it comes to all the nutrients. So per kilo per gram protein, you are actually very effective.
Mm-hmm.
And um, yeah, so in that sense, like eating the right type of meat could actually be, uh, in one sense, good for the nature. And then, yeah, other myths I would say is that, yeah, what do we have? It's well, I mean, it's not a myth that there are animals that are, mistreated. I think
Mm-hmm.
that definitely happens, just
Mm-hmm.
like mistreatments are all over the world with human beings and so on. And so there will always be those, and we need to, uh, not support those and do our best. And yeah, I think that's like a good way to reason about it. And I'm having, like on this Friday, I have a vegan doctor, or plant-based. He calls himself now, but he's written like these vegan books. He's called Dr. Joel Kahn. So I have a podcast with him here, and so he's a vegan, and he's very strong on the vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I think most vegans that are, into veganism,
Mm-hmm.
they would say, well, everyone should know about him, probably. And but uh, I'm not throwing out his knowledge out the window. I don't think he is maliciously on the way. Um, I think you might have some things wrong, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I also have things wrong, but this is also how, like, the model is more important. That understand that, okay,
Right.
let's try to do the best out of this
Mm-hmm.
and take in all information, but it doesn't help to, you know and in my case, in my opinion, what these movies are doing, they are maliciously spreading the wrong message,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see
or,
that.
information. They know
Mm-hmm.
that this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And if I say something wrong here, it's not because I know it's, I might be wrong. You have to check these numbers yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not doing it on, maliciously wrong. And with these movies, they take years to produce, and they do fact checking and everything. And so it's really, it's done with the agenda. So that's kind of what bothers me with those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, and yeah, I think just, if you have issues with your skin, if you have issues with your body, anything, with your sleep, uh, like I've heard so crazy stories with people, with uh years of joint pain and everything, and you can get that away. And especially like a lot of recovering vegans, as they call themselves, that have destroyed themselves by being vegan, probably because they've done the wrong way somehow, but
Mm-hmm.
that they are really recovering well. um so yeah, I think you need to explore, if you want to explore doing the vegan thing, or you do a carnivore thing. Like, it's up to you, and see how that feels.
For you, what's the, besides, like you said, you really, I mean, you enjoy meat, and or
To a
and
certain
everything.
degree, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But what what is the other, do you have, within these 90 days, do you have like a specific, like, tangible goal that you're kind of going for, or is it again just kind of for knowledge and for you, just for the experience?
So now, right now, it's an experiment for
Mhm.
myself to see what happens
Yeah.
when you don't really track, but you just live this way.
Mhm.
And my presumption would be that I will, you know get a bit leaner, maybe
Mhm.
get a bit more muscle.
Mhm.
And just by having this as a default, it's just a very easy way to, maintain and grow and feel
Mhm.
strong and so on, without doing a lot of, like, counting
Right.
and so on. So that's kind of the opposite from what you are doing now,
Yeah.
which is also the interesting thing. And why this is interesting is because if this is so easy to be kind of in one way reckless with no planning, no like that, uh, and if that's very easy for me, maybe that's like a solution that more people could use, because they they obviously can't handle all the options out there
Right.
and so on. So maybe this is like a very is a restriction diet for sure.
Yeah.
And uh, and it doesn't mean that you never can eat anything else. And like that, what I'm thinking is interesting to do is to, you know, as I said, you have some problems with something, whatever it is. It's a big problem, a small problem. Like try out it is for, you know, 30 days and see if anything changes. It might not, you know, but if it does, then you can start to you can realize that, and then you can start to add products like dairy or so, and then, you know, some beans and stuff like that.
Is your wife doing it too right now?
No, she's not. She's not doing this. I mean, this is also a bit cultural, I would say, with culture in that sense between men and women. So there is this kind of obviously somehow a uh, like a judgmental thing over it. As I said, it's very like politicized and everything. So and expectations also on women is to, you know, eat your salad and
Eat our salads.
yeah, you shouldn't be eating a sloppy beef and, you know,
Yeah.
bloody stuff. And no, it's like no, that's from a culture perspective more the restriction.
Right.
But no, she's not doing so. I think she's a bit hesitant when it comes to you know, going full beef and so on, or full carnivore. And to be honest, like she doesn't have to if she
Yeah.
doesn't feel for it.
Yeah.
And but it affects her a bit because obviously we're always having meat around, and we're sourcing, you know, we're trying to buy good stuff, and yeah, you know, it tastes good and it's super good base for her food. So she gets, you know, she's breastfeeding and everything, so it's like it's great for the kid, for the kid gets all the you know, good vitamins that are otherwise very hard to get in other foods. And yeah, she eats more, a bit more varied.
Yeah.
And we'll see if she ever tries it. But on that note, I think I will have a girl actually who is full carnivore since years. She's hopefully going to join here
Cool.
the show, and talk to her, and especially more about like this, well, the view from outside of how is this, and a woman shouldn't or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that'd be fascinating.
yeah, and those things, I think those are I always like to, you know, disrupt the general idea of this is how it should be or has to be and so on. And
Yeah.
so
Cool.
yeah, what else do we
I think that sums it up for today.
yeah
I think we got a lot of interesting information out there. And again, if anybody, you know, listening to this has questions about what Ricard and I are doing, or general nutrition questions, you know, hit us up and we'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, like obviously one thing that is super important when it comes to diet and so on, it can be so almost religious, and it can be so politicized. And if you are feeling that when somebody is talking about something that makes you so uncomfortable, you know, and you don't like this, like, and you think somebody's such a moron because of it and whatever, and you want to, I don't know, cancel it, or you want to shut it down or whatever, then I think you need to uh, you need to stop and reevaluate yourself too.
Yeah, good point.
And for me, it is definitely a point. Like, if I feel that I need to stop something, like, I don't know, there's a lot of bullshit out there, but um, if I go out and tell, they should stop this channel or whatever, then I think it's just that's a very dark path to go. But rather, be curious. And this is why I have like Dr. Khan and the podcast. I'm curious of what he has to say and to understand his epistemology, where he comes from, what's his background. We all have these stories that bring us where we are. So yeah, I've had a lot of vegan food in my life, so I think that's also a thing to have something to compare with is also important.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you going vegan or carnivore?
No. I mean, I don't eat so much red meat these days, but I do love a steak and lamb and fish. So no, I won't be going vegan or vegetarian.
Maybe we should try this summer.
I'm thinking about doing the carnivore.
you go carnivore, I go vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, cool. Yeah. Thanks for today. Then.
Thank you.
And
until next time.
Until next time. Oh yeah, I have actually, we have one podcast coming straight after this one, and then on Friday it's the Dr. Joel Khan, and then we'll see what there are a couple more coming. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until next time.
See you.
Bye.